going on, everyone? It's King Tuts Pro. Welcome back to another Final Cut Pro 10 tutorial. Alright guys, so this is the first effect, and this is going to be more of an object spinning transition. I get this asked a lot, and that is, how do you use objects to use as a effect or a transition? These two clips are about a second long each. Ideally, it's best to have at least 5 seconds of workable footage so that you can either make it longer or make it shorter. And what you want to do is go up at the top, go to Edit, go down to Add Freeze Frame or Option F, and then you want to zoom out of the timeline so you can see the freeze frame here. And I think this is fine. So this is just a clip, kind of like an image. So just click and drag upwards and then move it to the left like this. And then I think I'm going to go a little bit shorter on this effect. So something like this. And that is going to be about 13 frames. So what you want to do is select the clip, then go over to the effects, and you're going to go down to masks and then draw mask, and then add that onto that video clip. In this case, it's not a video, but it is a video. It's just a freeze frame, so it's like a still image. And then we're going to go over to the inspector tab and make sure the draw mask is selected. It doesn't matter where you have the playhead, just make your selection as good as you can, so 200%. And I'm going to just make some selections around her sunglasses. If you want to create a curve, just click and drag, and this will allow you to create a nice soft kind of curve so that it follows the path of the sunglasses, and it looks nicer too, so it doesn't look so choppy and you have really harsh edges. Okay, so once you're close to finishing, I'm going to click here, and you're going to see a little circle next to the pen tool. Click that, and this will finish off the path. Then you can go over to the draw mask and increase the feather outwards or inwards if you want to create that soft edge. I don't think I want it on this one, so I'm going to reset it at 0. And then I'm going to zoom back to fit here. And now you're going to notice it's just an image, right? But we need to actually create some keyframes to animate the object. So what we're going to do is move the playhead at the beginning, and we're going to have to do some things before we do that. So the first thing, first thing you need to do is go over to transform, and you're going to notice that the anchor point is this center point. This is where we're going to be zooming in and out of. So this point has to be over here in the middle of the sunglasses, or like let's say you used this grill on this BMW. The middle point would have to be right here. Okay, make sure you go over to transform with it enabled. Go down to anchor, and you're going to see X and Y. So just click on the 0. Click and drag this with your mouse or trackpad, doesn't really matter. So just drag this over so that it's right above the anchor point, and then you're going to do the same thing for the y-axis. Click and drag until it's at that center point right there. The reason we do this is so that we zoom out of this area, not from this. So once we've moved the anchor point to our object that we want in the middle, just click and drag anywhere inside of this clip and just reposition it back to where it was as close as you can get it. I like to align it to the corners and edges. When you're ready, click done. So now if we go to scale and we go to transform, you're going to notice that it scales from that point and not the middle of the frame. That's pretty much what you want to do. Okay, so once you've done that, all we're going to do now is go to transform. You can either add a keyframe here, and this will add it to everything, or you can go and do it manually to specific, specific points. So in this case, I want it to spin. So I'm gonna go over to transform. I'm gonna go to rotation. I'm gonna add a keyframe at the beginning. Click on that and type in -360. And you're gonna see if I go to the end and go one frame to the left, and now I type in here, click on this, type in 0. Now if I go back, you're gonna see it's gonna start to spin. So this is spinning counterclockwise. So a positive value like 360 will spin clockwise, so it will turn to the right. Now all we're going to do is go back to transform, and we want to scale this up. So we're going to go over to the transform tool, go next to scale all, and add a keyframe. And we're going to start this off at 0 actually. So type in 0 for the percent, so that we don't see the actual sunglasses in the video. Then we're going to skim all the way to the end and go one frame to the left. And then what you want to do is go back to scale all and type in 100% for the original scale. Click done. Now I want to go back and push play. It's going to kind of start out of nowhere and then stop right on that next scene, hence the transition. Now, you could also, of course, add a blur, which is going to make it look way more realistic. So go over to the effects, go to blur, and then you're going to go over to the radial blur, add that onto that clip, click and drag this anchor point into the middle of the object that you just masked out. If I go back and I push play, it's going to look something like this, super smooth with the blur, and it stops in the exact location here. Alright guys, so I went on to Envato Elements, which is linked down in the description by the way, and I went and got this super cool butterfly alpha channel overlay that you guys can overlay onto your videos to make it look so much better. So here's a before, which is still really cool, but you'll notice on this side there's some butterflies or birds. I'm not too sure what that is. I think those are birds, but I added butterflies just because I think it looks kind of cool. So if I go back and push play, it'll look something like this, and it just kind of makes it just a little bit more interesting visually. And again, if you guys want to get this exact video clip, which I suggest you guys do, if you guys go down in the description of this video, it will take you to this page here where you can then download the actual video clip that I used. So if I push play, it's going to look like this. So pretty much it's a transparent video so that you can simply overlay onto your clip. Also, you can take a look at the attributes here. And the cool thing about Envato Elements also is that they have stock video templates, music, sound effects, graphic templates, graphics, presentation templates, photos, fonts, and so much more. And they have 55 million assets that you guys can use. If you guys want to sign up for the 7-day free trial that they have currently running right now, do keep in mind that it's currently being rolled out gradually, so not every country is available just yet. It's really cool because it saves 50% off of the annual plan, and you get all of it for only $16.50 per month, which is actually a really good deal considering you don't have to pay for every single asset that you use, which can be extremely expensive and it can really stack up. So this is really great because you have unlimited downloads, as you can see, cancel at any time. So if you click on license here, it will take you to this page, and they will just simply go over how their license works. Pretty much when you sign up for one of their plans, you are covered during and after your plan expires. So again, be sure to visit the link down in the description to be able to access all of this awesome stuff here. Let's continue with the tutorial. Alright guys, so I think this next effect is, super underrated of an effect, and that's going to be this super cool panning video effect. Alright, so first things first, you're going to have your main clip here, the first clip that you want to pan to the left, and then the clip on the right is the one that's going to be coming into the frame underneath, I should say. In reality, all you have to do is, for one, if you shot your subject in the middle of the frame like this, you're going to have to move or shift the video to the right on the right half of that clip. The same thing here, they're relatively in the middle of the shot, so I'm gonna have to move this clip over onto the left side of this clip here. If you don't know where that is, just go over to View. Under Overlays, you're gonna click Show Horizon. What this will do is it'll show you the horizon line, so it'll show you kind of like the X and Y. What you wanna do is pretty much use this clip here. We're going to drag this one underneath, but before we do that, we're going to go over to the transform section here next to the inspector window, go to transform, position X, and just drag this onto the right side so that the most of the area that you want captured is in this right half of this rectangle. So I'm gonna go about here, play it through, make sure it looks good, that's fine, and then make sure there's no other scenes here as well. You only want one clip here. You can if you want, actually. The possibilities are really endless. If you want to get creative, by all means, go for it. So I'm gonna click and drag this second clip underneath the first one. Once you move the video underneath the first one, what you're gonna do is go over to transform. We're gonna add a keyframe at the top left here, and then we're gonna actually animate this so that it moves to the left. So we're gonna go about halfway. I think halfway is a good amount, and click and drag this to the left. You're gonna notice a line here, a red line, which indicates that is actually what we want. Click done. So now if I go back and push play, it's going to shift over nicely just like that. Ignore this clip here. We're going to fix that in just a second. So this looks good there. Now we're going to go over to the effects. We're going to go down to masks, and we're going to add an image mask onto the first clip. Then go over to image mask, and now it says mask source. So we're going to click on this box here, and we're going to select the clip beneath it. So click on this and click apply clip. At the beginning, I'm going to add a keyframe there and then go to where it stops, which is right there is where it stops. You can see the keyframe. We're going to click and drag this. You're going to see it's not actually moving the video, which is very important. You can also use the on-screen control, which I think is easier with the snapping enabled. Just drag it all the way to the left here, to that left frame, and this will give you a perfect line everything, this is the end result. Super simple and easy to do. If you guys are enjoying this video, it would mean a lot if you guys could hit the like button, subscribing, and turning on the bell notification so you don't miss out on a future video like this. Alright guys, so this next effect is honestly one of my favorite ones, and that's going to be a glowing Luma effect, and this does utilize the Luma effect, which is really cool. So here's a before and an after. You can see it completely changes the look and the overall feel of the music video in this particular scene. So for this to work, it's very easy. I'm just going to delete this. What you want to do is simply have your clip that you want to use to apply the effect to, and you're going to hold Option and drag upwards to make a copy. You're going to go over to the effects. Make sure you have the inspector tab open as well so you can kind of know what you're doing. And then you're going to go over to the keying, and you're going to add a Luma keyer onto the first clip. You're pretty much going to drag this over just like that, and then you're going to go over to the blur, and you're going to add a Gaussian blur, so add that onto this top clip as well. And you're going to go to, I think you're going to leave everything how it is, and then you're going to go bokeh random. You're going to add that onto this effect as well, so you can kind of see the effect already starting to come by. It just looks amazing. So the bokeh is pretty much, you know, blurry artifacts from the lens and the light. You can make it smaller, you can change the blend mode, the circles, or if you want it hexagons, you can do that too, which is kind of cool. But I'm gonna go with circles. Speed, we're gonna slow this down. Blur, we can blur this a little bit more. So now it looks a little bit softer in terms of the artifacts here. So I think this looks good. I'm gonna increase this though, do something like that. Perfect. And then the last but not least is the glow. So go next to light and then glow, and then add that onto this effect, and it'll look like this. Super, super cool. So now if I push play, it'll look just like this. And again, there's no plugins or anything like that. All of this is included in Final Cut Pro. So here's before and an after. And if you go under glow, right now it's at 100, but if you add another one, you will actually intensify the effect. So here's a second glow effect, so you can see it really brings out the highlights in this shot. So it'll affect the brightest areas of your video. So just keep that in mind. Push play. It's gonna look something like this, and it looks amazing. And with the glow, another glow added, it'll also increase the intensity. So we're gonna bring this down to like maybe 30. So the next effect is going to be this super cool distortion mask kind of overlay effect. So if I push play, it's going to look something like this. This is the original video before it kind of morphs into this. But you're gonna notice that the background is relatively like solid in terms of color. I think it's like a blue sky. So if you're going to be doing this effect, I would suggest you guys keep that in mind when you're filming. Just try and use like a solid background if you can. Under distortion, you're going to go to fisheye, just drag that onto that clip. And then from there, what you want to do is add a couple of keyframes. So right now we're going to type in 0. Radius is at 1, that's fine. Just add a keyframe there at the beginning. So I'm going to go to the beginning, and I'm actually going to add a keyframe next to radius. And we're going to go at 0, and then go to the end of that clip. And then I'm going to go to the radius. I'm going to kind of zoom this up, but I'm also going to scale this down. So as I'm kind of like moving down, I'm also kind of penning up. So it's a little bit of a weird kind of thing here. So kind of feel free to experiment with this. You can also move this around if you want to. But this is kind of the idea here. It's going to kind of shift like that. Make sure you don't have these black edges showing. So just make sure it's a little bit like that. So now when I push play, it's gonna look like this, really weird. Now this is a short clip, that's why it's only 1 second long, but what we're gonna do is hold Option to make a copy, just drag upwards, and then you're gonna go over and delete the fisheye effect, go to the effects, and you're gonna go down to keying, add the keyer onto the top clip. Now if I go back and push play, you're technically done. So in the very beginning, we have 0, 0, and then towards the end, we are at -29 for the amount, and radius is at 0.46 if you want to copy the same exact settings. So that's pretty much it for this particular mask effect. It's not the perfect effect, but it gets the job done, and it looks really, really interesting.